now call the finance meeting to order. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to today's topic for discussion, which is the Crimewatch presentation. Gentlemen.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us here. My name is Cliff Demagon. I'm the Territory Director.
Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. I'm a retired Assistant Chief County Detective for York County. I came on the Crimewatch last year. Like our presentation says here, we're building safer communities through collaboration. And what we are is a public engagement platform where, as a law enforcement community, the County of Cumberland could communicate with each other as well as share information with the people who reside in Cumberland County with a one-click kind of notification with the social media, regular media, traditional media, everything going through this platform. So we're advancing in public safety through police and public partnerships. What we have is, with Crimewatch, we're an official partner of the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association. So we've been with them for several years now, and we're vetted by the PA Chiefs of Police Association as a viable platform for law enforcement engagement online. And if you've seen the Pennsylvania Crime Stoppers platform, they've been running through our platform since 2011. So everything is posted throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on the Pennsylvania Crime Watcher site goes through, Pennsylvania Crime Stoppers, goes through the Crimewatch platform. We've been deployed throughout Pennsylvania since 2013. We're now approaching 160 law enforcement agencies in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida. And last year, we had over 7.7 million people visiting Crimewatch directly. So we were impacting the communities where we had 7.7 million people interacting with our law enforcement agencies directly through their Crimewatch portals. With that, we had over 35 million views and interactions of Crimewatch content on social media. So the information that our law enforcement is sharing is being looked at and reviewed and engaged with by the communities that they serve. And in connection with that, then, with that transparency and with that sharing of information, we're generating thousands of tips that are being returned to the police department from their communities, and we're clearing a lot of those cases that are out there. As we all know, 80% of adults have smartphones, and over 70% of the people that reside in the United States are using social media. And what we're doing is we're changing the way people communicate and change community policing to move it into the digital age. Everyone's looking at their mobile phones, everyone's looking at social media for interaction, whether it's through the newspaper, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through Twitter, or what have you. A lot of your print media is now converting itself over to digital media, and that's where we interact. We target that information to those people that are out there. So we operationalize the web, mobile and social framework for public safety organizations, meaning we make the web work for law enforcement. Right now, just sharing information to Facebook is not really working for law enforcement. You are selling yourself for advertising purposes. Facebook is there to generate money by selling advertising. So if you look at a Dodge truck, the next thing you know, you're getting Dodge truck ads pop up and whatnot. Look at yourself over 10 years, you're doing developments with that stuff. You'll never see advertising on Crimewatch. Crimewatch was built specifically for the public engagement for law enforcement. So you're not going to see that advertising on there. When you're engaged with Crimewatch, you're engaged with law enforcement. You're not looking at a cat meme or something along those lines. You're looking at something that's very professional and it's very law enforcement oriented. Our engagement process is very simple. It's one entry with one submission, and it populates all the different formats you see here. So if one officer comes in and he does a Crimewatch entry for, let's say, a burglary report. He does that burglary report, he submits his Crimewatch portal entry. It then goes into a queue for a supervisor to review, so nothing that goes out to the media or to any social media or anywhere doesn't go without authorization. So once it's authorized by the publisher in that agency, it then goes out with one click and populates your crime mapping platform that we provide. It also goes out to all your local media contacts, so whether it's News 8, 21, 27, whatever newspapers you're looking through or you submit information to, they're going to receive that information, as well as it's going to update your Crimewatch portal or your website. Now, some agencies use Crimewatch strictly as their website. Others do not. They use Crimewatch as their virtual newsroom, so that any information that the media is looking for, the public's looking for, they can come to their website, click a link, and they go to their virtual newsroom, which would be their Crimewatch portal. Likewise, you have the mobile app, which people can sign up for. It's free for the community and free for law enforcement to sign up. And they'll receive notifications of departments that they're following. So as a resident of Berks County, where I reside, I follow numerous agencies around my home that are on the Crimewatch network, so that anything that's going on, anything that gets published, I'm notified on my mobile phone. Likewise, anyone in Cumberland County can follow different agencies in Cumberland County or follow the whole county if they would like to receive those notifications. In addition, we have what's called the Crimewatch TV, which is a closed-circuit TV system. It's connected to the entire network that provides you the ability to publish out public safety information, whether it's coffee with a cop, or it's warrants, or it's unsolved cases, or public service announcements, or a silver alert, or an amber alert, whatever you want to push out on your Crimewatch TV, you can. And we have great success with that. If you've ever been to Strawberry Square in Harrisburg, on the second floor, they have a 50 or 70-inch plasma screen in the back of the food court that's strictly running Dauphin County's Crimewatch TV, which is pushing out warrants, it's pushing out recent arrests, it's pushing out PSNs, it's also pushing out unsolved cases. And they're finding that they're having a lot of success with that TV being posted in the public there. They strategically put it there as a result of incidents that were occurring on the second floor at the food court where people were congregating and causing problems. And putting that large TV up there has actually eliminated a lot of those problems for them. Another touch point it's going to hit is your social media. So it's when you do that one click and you push that information out, you're also pushing information to Facebook, you're also pushing it to Twitter, you're also pushing it to other social media platforms. But what it does for you is the same thing that you're pushing out to News 8 or News 21 is the same thing you're pushing out on Facebook. It's the same thing you're pushing out everywhere. So there's nothing's taken out of context. There's nothing left on the editor's floor that was cut out of your interview or out of your press release that you pushed out. So everything you're pushing out is being shared with everyone, so it's very transparent and you're communicating with everyone. Likewise, the last part is people can sign up for email notifications, whereas anything that's pushed out, you receive an email to be notified that you're going to receive updates to whatever they're pushing out. So that can be received on a daily basis or a weekly basis, depending on how you want to receive that. A lot of our municipalities that have it, their commissioners or their supervisors or their township managers really like this feature because they can sign up and receive an email once a week and let them know what's going on with the agency. As far as the chiefs that are doing monthly reports at their monthly meetings, they already have a heads up as to what the chiefs are going to be bringing in because they see that engagement, they see what's going on in your communities. And what we're shooting for is 40% of your population. So right now, when you look at Cumberland County as a whole, with the 8 municipalities and Crime Stoppers that we have that are active with us right now, we're hitting 35% of the population. If you look at the statistics, I'll pull them up here, but we're engaged with we're serving 35% of your population. And if you just look at municipal agencies, we're engaged with 50% of those, with 50% coverage of those, that population. So what we would propose would be a Crimewatch countywide deployment in which every agency would filter information into Cumberland County Crimewatch. Because right now we have a Cumberland County Crimewatch that has 8 agencies in there that are sharing information, whereas now you would have the total, all of the municipal agencies feeding information into that one portal, which would then feed out to the whole Crimewatch network, and what we'd be shooting for would be 100,000 people a month. And that's conservative. We found that in different counties and different agencies, we're exceeding that 40% population by leaps and bounds, some of which 200% is a normal engagement for them on a monthly basis. But as you see, each one of those agencies has a portal that feeds to their individual municipalities, which also feeds up to the county, which feeds to the PA, which feeds to the Crimewatch US. Again, so with one click, you're engaging 100,000 in Cumberland County, but you're also engaging 2.3 million people in Pennsylvania, which then feeds up to Crimewatch United States. So these are all counties where we have an active network. Just for Cumberland County, the statistics that we have on the agencies that are, this does not include Lower Allen because they came on in the last parts of 2018. So we have 8 law enforcement agencies, including the Crime Stoppers. We're serving a combined population of almost 72,000 people. Last year we had over 600,000 visits to Crimewatch sites with an effective reach of 73% per month. So what that means is we were engaging 73% of the population that they serve, and that's 71,000 per month. And with that, we had 1.4 million page views on Crimewatch sites, which means the people are coming to the sites and they're looking around, they're staying there, they're engaging their communities, and they're talking amongst themselves and providing information. But our network in and of itself had 18.5 million page views. So people are going, and it's an increase of almost 50% from 2017 to 2018. And Cumberland County had 430 tips submitted last year.
Do you have any idea how many of those panned out into something?
No, I do not. We don't have that information. These are just examples of the Crimewatch portal, which is here. This is this Crimewatch Facebook site. Lower left corner is your Crimewatch TV, and then the lower right is your Crimewatch app, mobile app. The challenges we face in law enforcement is the online engagement is demanding. What are you going to push out on Facebook? What are you going to put out on Twitter? You have to do all these different things. There's so many technology choices to choose from. What crime mapping software are we going to use? Is it going to be applicable to what we want to do? Is it going to integrate with what we have currently? Very few are built for police. A lot of your mapping softwares were designed for a different purpose, and they kind of tweaked them and said, you know what, let's make this work for law enforcement too. Crimewatch is specifically built for law enforcement. Our mapping solutions, everything that we develop in Crimewatch is designed for law enforcement, making the jobs easier. And there's no consistency for the public. Now, if I go to one law enforcement agency's website, how do I submit a tip? Are they open 24 hours a day? How do I get information from them? We give that consistency to Cumberland County, to everyone that resides in Cumberland County and beyond, that this is how we engage our public, this is how you engage in the police department. This is where you go to submit information. This is how you would do that. And we offer that again with a countywide deployment. We transform the way police share public safety news and source intelligence from the public. So it's not just pushing stuff out to Facebook. It's not, posting out, oh, we have a burglary at this house and pushing it out on Facebook. Because what you're doing there is, A, it's an unsecure platform. Facebook isn't secure. We all know that. Secondly, is once that's pushed out on Facebook, whether you push out a picture of a warrant, you push out a picture of whatever, it's in permanent marker. It's out on the internet, it's there forever, it's not coming down. With our control share, what we do is we give Facebook, we give Twitter, we give the media just a snapshot of what they're looking at. Just picture a window, looking through that window to your Crimewatch portal. So what happens is when I'm on Facebook and I see that Silver Spring Township had pushed out a warrant for a gentleman, and I say, hey, I know that guy, he's staying with my neighbor, and I click on that link, it now pulls me off of Facebook. I step through that window, if you will. Now I'm on the Crimewatch portal of Silver Spring Township, and I can say, yes, this guy's living next to me at his girlfriend's house. I click that information, I close it out, that window shuts, I'm back on Facebook, and no one knows I left. Now, Chief Robinstein's going to get a notification on his phone that says, hey, we got a tip on this guy in my township, we have a warrant for him, this is where he's at. So that's how easy it is. It's so simple to do, but that engagement is secure, it's efficient, and it's the way to the future, in my eyes. It's a professional police presence on the web. Again, when people are interacting with law enforcement, they're not interacting with them on Facebook or Twitter. They're interacting with them directly on Crimewatch, which is a very professional, very authoritative engagement. So they know that I'm engaging the police department right now. I am involved with the police department. I'm not screwing around on Facebook. So again, you have the ability to do that with that integration. And we're also your professional police presence on social media. Again, you're there, you click on that social media, and now you're off. We make social media work for law enforcement, not vice versa. And finally, police presence on the go. Again, the app will GPS locate you, and it will give you information on what's going on directly around you in addition to everything you're following. So if I'm traveling across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that news feed's going to change as to where I'm located at. So you'll know, especially as we get larger, like we've added a resort town in New Jersey, that if you go travel for vacation, you're going to see Crimewatch there. You're going to be able to pull up information that's going on in that municipality as well. Again, this is our Crimewatch is everywhere. This is your Crimewatch TV. This is just a mock-up. But again, you have the ability to push out warrants. Let's say you want to push out a bench warrant or a missing person, for instance. You push out a driver's license photo. Now, according to JNet and PennDOT's rules and regs, you can't push that kind of the blue background photograph out there by itself. You just can't do it because you can't maintain custody of that photograph. With Crimewatch, you're able to do that. You can push that warrant out there with a blue background and then kill it with our control share. Once the subject's located or the warrant's been served, you have the ability to delete that and go out and find everywhere it's been shared and kill it online for you. These are our statistics for 2017. We had 78,000 people download our mobile app. We had almost 253,000 Facebook connections. Almost 36 million views, shares, and impressions of shared content on Facebook and Twitter. 6.6 million visits to Crimewatch sites. Again, it's now up to 7.7 million in 2018. And then we had 12.4 million page views in 2017, which jumped to 18.6 million in 2018. So we continue to grow. We continue to get more engagement with the communities that belong to the Crimewatch network. And finally, we had over 5,500 tips submitted to our law enforcement agencies in 2017. Which I believe is up to 2018, and we're still compiling all those numbers. And this is just a video. This is from Ben Salem Township. The Director of Public Safety, Fred Herron. They were the first agency in Bucks County to come on board with Crimewatch. They now have a countywide deployment, is what we're proposing here today. And I think, how do I make that play? Nope. Is it this button?
Oh, I've never do video.
You never did a video?
No.
Okay. The gist of it is that they deployed Crimewatch and they pushed out information. They had 6 arrests in 10 days to include a serial roper who they pushed out his picture. There were 20,000 people looking at it, submitted information. They were apprehended him within 24 hours. That's the gist of the video. I can send you all a link if you would like.
So that'd be fine.
That's basically my presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
Well, this is you want to lead
No,
off.
fire away.
Okay. Doug, first of all, thanks for coming in today.
Yes, sir.
I think our board had received previous presentations relative to things like Crime Stoppers, and there was some other issues, or some other things that come before us, but I know, I guess it was last year, you made a presentation to the Capital Region Council of Governments.
Yes, sir.
And as a result of that, there was municipal interest in us considering it on a countywide basis. We received some correspondence. We received one letter that came to the Board of Commissioners, and that was from Hampton Township, which, I don't know whether it's Hampton here today. Okay. In opposition, but we also then, via the District Attorney's Office, received a number of other communications from our municipalities in support of the county's consideration of this. And so we had a conversation not too long ago, and that's why you're here, and I appreciate you coming in.
Yes, sir.
I do think it's something that we should reconsider. I think that, or we should consider. I think what we're talking about here, as we move more into the 21st century, and I know these guys know how well I am with technology and everything up to date with it, but really, this is another way today to expand the eyes and ears of our citizens and help them participate in actually solving crimes. And then following my conversation with you, or maybe right before my conversation with you, I had a conversation with Chief Green in East Bensbrook Township, my hometown.
Yes, sir.
And what he said to me is if the county did this, we actually could save money, whereas the total cost for the municipalities versus what it would cost us if we did it on a countywide basis. So I'm always interested in how we can save money, so that's why we're here today. But, and I know I had a conversation with the DA and with our sheriff, so I guess my question would be, what would the cost be to Cumberland County if the county were to assume the cost of this? What are we looking at?
Okay, you're looking at, with all the law enforcement agencies, including the district attorney and the sheriff's department, would be, for the core system, would be approximately $35,000. Now, that does not include training, with several different, that would be up to the agencies. Do we want to do on-site, do we want to do online training, or there's also additional costs associated with Crimewatch TVs as far as, how do you want to put one in the jail, do you want to put one down the booking, do you want to put one in the courthouse, those kind of things. But it would roughly be $35,000, and then additional costs, obviously, for any kind of promotional material and training, etc. Now, I can say, as far as cost savings go, if you were to do a countywide, let's say every agency in the county were to purchase Crimewatch on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So that would include the district attorney, the sheriff, and then every municipality down there. With the saving on a countywide level, you're saving $21,000. And then that's just for the normal price. And then you have the additional discount of the PHEs, so you'd be saving $10,000 instead of $21,000. So if we went through the PHEs discount, which can't be guaranteed from year to year. But likewise, again, the big number is saving $21,000 with a countywide deployment. And for East Pennsboro and the other agencies and municipalities that are already Crimewatch customers, they're looking at almost a $7,000 savings for the year. It's about $6,700 if it were to go to a county deployment rather than them paying it.
I'm not sure. So then they would be paying, or are they just shifting the cost to the county? Is there a real savings, or is it just they're not paying it because somebody else is?
Well, the countywide rate is different than individual,
Sure, yeah.
individual municipalities.
So let me ask it this way. Okay, so if I understand this correctly, the county could be a conduit for this deployment in that we would qualify for the lower rate, but we could also assess all the member municipalities to pay their share.
Yes, you could.
Okay.
That would be entirely up to how you all wanted to handle it.
Okay.
Doug, when I was looking at some
Yes, sir.
numbers, it appeared to me for a municipality to join would cost about $2,000 a year. Is that accurate? 2,000, 2,500 a year.
It's based on the municipalities.
Based on the municipality
Yeah, but as
size,
an average, I saw some over 2,000, I saw some over 2,000.
they go from,
And this is, we have 8.
anywhere between 5 and 1,200. When you talk about your smaller municipalities, anything under 7,000 constitutes our minimum charge, which would be 1,200 or $1,750 a year, but that's 1,200 with the PHE's discounts, $100 a month. So right now there are some agencies that are enjoying less than that because they were grandfathered in when Crimewatch first came out live.
Okay, so we have today 8 law enforcement agencies in the county that are already in the program.
And Crime Stoppers are not.
And how many are not in Crimewatch? Another 8.
Roughly, yes, 8.
Okay, so would each agency pay, or would each township have to pay? Because not all townships have police
Would be
cars.
each agency.
Each agency.
Correct.
Okay.
If I could jump in there. I'm Matt Bloom, Crimewatch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys could,
Have your name for the record, sir.
Matt Bloom, Crimewatch, founder and
Thank you.
CEO.
Thank you.
You guys are welcome to charge the municipalities however you guys want. We do have other countywide deployments that do that. They use their per capita numbers for distributed IT costs, and they follow that same methodology. So the key to us from a company's perspective is we have one kind of business relationship that we manage. We get one invoice, one payment, and then we make the technology available to any subscriber throughout the county. So there's a huge benefit to like a Shireman's Town or a Newville who, based on per capita and tax base, they don't have the budgets for nice technologies. This enables them to get it regardless of their size. It also comes to play for some of the bigger organizations as well, who, when you take the 25 cents per citizen per year times a 30,000 service population, it becomes a fairly expensive technology. So being able to access the county-wide discount of 15 cents per citizen per year, it ends up saving them a significant amount of money. So that's part of the logic behind the county-wide deployment. The second point I'd like to make, just to reemphasize what Doug said, is that our most successful deployments are county-wide deployments. Law enforcement has a need to respond as a unified organization. If there was a crime or an incident that occurred, like an active shooter situation, everybody would respond to that scene as an organized unit. What we're experiencing online today is the same necessity. You need to create a unified front, a unified presence online. For what Doug said, if I'm a kid at Cumberland Valley High School and I see a Snapchat conversation happening and I need to submit that to law enforcement, I can't go find Hampton Township website and see the email address for Detective Jones and try to email it to him. I just need one simple way that I can submit that Snapchat conversation to get it to authorities right away. And that's a big part of what Crimewatch does, is it ends that sort of confusion of where we go, how we share information. The app, the brand, everything that we build is branded Cumberland County Crimewatch. So residents in Cumberland County will see it as their Crimewatch program for the county. And then it's designed to be segmented so that I can just get, I want to see what's happening in Silver Spring, and I want to get updates on warrants from the sheriff's office. So you can pick and choose how you want to use it.
So how does a countywide deployment work in an area like ours where so many of the municipalities don't have a department and rely on Pennsylvania State Police?
So we're working with state police now to fill in the gaps of coverage. But what would end up happening in this, Shippensburg is a great example of it. Shippensburg Borough proper services 4,800 residents, but their effective reach is almost 14,000 people. So all of those regions that are covered by state police around Shippensburg all connect to Shippensburg Borough because they're not getting the news and information from state police that they need. So Shippensburg Borough has effectively created a police media site where people go to get public safety information from surrounding areas.
So a municipality that's served by PSP would still get assessed. They would still have to pay to be part of the process.
It depends on how you guys wanted to distribute that, yeah. So the countywide deployment is a simple arithmetic. We take the county population times the county rate, and anybody can participate within the county. So, realistically, we have some countywide deployments where the universities participate too. So.
It's, if I can be so bold, it's simple on your end, as long as you're getting the money. It's not so simple on our end to try to determine who's paying and what's fair and all of that. So there's a lot of back office that has to happen on our part.
Yeah, just to give you guys another example, Bucks County, they use a grant that they have. So the DA, under the leadership of the DA, he submits the grant funding to the the total cost. And then the remaining cost, which is like $24,000, gets distributed based on each police department's service population. So they come up with a percentage, and it actually ends up being pretty simple math. But it saves the departments a significant amount of money.
In that case. So my other question, just off the top of my head, is talking about a successful deployment, but I'm not sure you've demonstrated for us what a successful deployment is. How do I know? How are you measuring success? Because I didn't see a whole lot in terms of metrics that show me that it delivered this. What I'm seeing is it's capable of reaching a broad universe, which as somebody who spent a few years in advertising, I see that from every TV station, how much they can reach.
Right.
But it's not really telling me what the return on investment is, and there's very little audience research that shows me how the folks who are presumably consuming this information are actually grasping it and digesting it.
I would, you guys already have a successful deployment in Cumberland County. Without countywide support, without any sort of leadership from the county perspective,
Yeah.
you've had a lot of departments individually go out and adopt the technology and use it. Carlisle was one of our first departments that were on it, and they went from almost no engagement to having like 175,000 people coming and engaging around them on a regular basis. So from the metric of, are we getting people engaged in a controlled fashion, and are we getting tips and intelligence in? Yes, absolutely, we're having success from that part. The challenge we have is law enforcement never seeks recognition for when they actually do their job. So they're not the most forthright to come up and say, hey, we successfully captured that guy. But we do hear success stories like that. There was one in
I
Carlisle.
have no empirical data that says you're investing this much in here that we can show for it.
Yeah, because that's a hard equation to answer, because it comes into the police operational side of them feeding back to us and telling us. Now, I will give you some examples, and you can verify them. Detective Freeman for Carlisle can verify, or Lieutenant Latshaw, or Steve Marginson could have verified. The one case that we reference a lot in Carlisle is there was an altercation at the Alibi a couple years ago. 2 unknown females fired a weapon 5 times in the air. They were arguing with Dickinson kids. The 2 females fled. One of the females picked up the shell casings, left on foot. This all happened between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. at the Alibi. The officers that were on duty at Carlisle went back. They hit Crimewatch. They pushed it out. The next morning, Lieutenant Latshaw came in. He had 12 tips. Who was the shooter, who's their accomplice, where they live, where they work, where were they currently located and hiding out so they could avoid detection. And what was amazing about it is there was no media intervention. So no news trucks showing up downtown Carlisle at 1 o'clock in the morning, no officers being pulled aside and interviewed, and all that information was basically crowdsourced from the public and submitted. Now to that same point, Steve Spangler, you can maybe validate this for me. A couple years ago, there was a homicide in Hampton Township. I'm actually kind of marveled by Hampton Township's response. There was a homicide in Hampton Township. The tips that helped solve and capture the guy from the homicide came in through Cumberland County Crime Stoppers, which Cumberland County Crime Stoppers has enjoyed the Crimewatch program and the success of the Crimewatch program for free for years, because it seemed to boost and support the actual overall program in the county. So here's a case in point where Hampton Township says the technology is no good, but it's already helped them solve a case. We also had a homicide in New Cumberland, and there was basically a manhunt looking for the suspect in the homicide. He ended up being at a pub in downtown Harrisburg, where somebody submitted a tip through Crimewatch, through the Cumberland County Crime Stoppers program, and he was picked up by the Capitol Police. So there is already impact use cases and things happening right here in the county from this technology.
And that was within 24 hours when we put that out. He was identified and picked up within 24 hours in Dauphin County.
And just to clarify, because our naming is very similar, Crimewatch is a technology platform that facilitates this service. Crime Stoppers is an actual group of volunteers in your community that raise money to offer rewards for tips. Crimewatch, the company, does not pay out for tips at all. And that's kind of our policy. But we do support the Crime Stoppers programs, which are nonprofits.
You're the technology platform.
Correct. And I don't want to speak out of turn, Steve, but Cumberland County Crime Stoppers has been advocating for this for a while because they want to be able to raise money to get TVs to put up in different spaces. They wanted to put the TV up in the courthouse.
And this is where I think there was some confusion, is because we were presented with like 3 proposals, different kind of technological advancements to aid in, with respect to helping the police. The one thing, and I think maybe you could explain a little bit, but with every subscriber, they get I understand, a free box.
Correct.
That's available, whereby then the local police department or the sheriff's office or the DA's office, could determine where to put this box and then you get a big screen TV, right?
Right.
And essentially, if it's in an area with a lot of folks who essentially, people can look up at the screen, yeah, I know him, he lives next door or down the street or whatever, and that's how the tips then
Correct.
can come in. So it sounds as though Crime Stoppers and Crimewatch work pretty much hand in hand, is what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, and again, the Crimewatch TV itself is not a TV, it's like a cable box.
Right.
It's specifically designed for Crimewatch, so it's hardwired, you can't hack it, there's no, like NSA can't, crack into it and steal the feed or whatever. It's hardwired through a secure VPN through, Cat5 people. So basically all we need is internet connection and electric, and your Crimewatch TV's up and running. It's a customizable box again.
Where are you in the area countywide? I mean, in the region?
In the region? As far as Cumberland County, we're in Carlisle, East Pennsboro, Middlesex.
I mean, where do you have it, where you have you're covering the entire county?
Dauphin, Lancaster, Montour, Columbia, Bucks.
What about York?
I was talking with the sheriff a week and a half ago, and we met with the district attorney's office. Actually, I met with Crimewatch when I was at the district attorney's office last year, in 2017, 2 years ago. But they wish to revisit it from what I've been told.
For this to work countywide, we have to have all 16 agencies involved, correct? Or not?
No. But again, it's one price.
Okay, now today, for the 8 agencies that are in this program, what is their total cost per year? That they're paying today?
Yeah, I'm manning up here.
It's right around $22,000.
Yes.
What would it be if the county assumed this is a countywide function?
35,000.
No, for each of the, 35.
30, it's one price, yeah, 35,000.
And that could be divided amongst the 8 agencies.
Well, you have demand from other agencies. That's part of the reason why we're here is, Lower Allen, Upper Allen, there's been quite a few others that say they want to join Crimewatch, but the financial barrier has been challenging for them. Margie Stusky, she can't be here today. She's sick, but she called me right before coming in. And she's been advocating this for, West Shore Regional forever, just because they don't have a lot of resources, but they do have crime. And this has proven to be pretty effective for them to gain that pulse of the community that they're not able to get otherwise. So I think that's really where the clarification comes in. I know Ron Anderson's here. He's wanted his guys to be able to access Crimewatch for years, but sheriff's offices don't have a lot of discretionary budget money. They've been using Facebook and putting information up on Facebook, which is great. It's worked as an effective way for them to get intel on warrants, but it's already happened in the past where Facebook has shut down their sites. And part of the reason why is when you post mugshots directly to Facebook, you're not controlling that information. So you're actually, it's in a little aside, with the new legislation that's happened in Pennsylvania, there's going to become more and more pressure on police departments not to share mugshots and other things that are protected criminal justice information without any control like they have been in the past. So that you're going to see that with the protection of reputations for citizens and things. It's going to be a much bigger issue here pretty soon. So it's one of the things that we've helped solve. So I think that, our previous DA, before he left, he was really excited about Crimewatch and getting the TV in the courthouse. He really wanted to see that. It's been effective over in Dauphin County. So I think that's the key thing is that you guys are going to facilitate the ability for the remaining of the departments that want to participate to get on board. And right now, from the feedback we have is maybe Hampton Township won't participate, but as far as we've heard from everybody else, they all want to participate.
Right.
And I'm just to refresh my colleague's memory. So we received from the DA's office letters of support from Shippensburg Borough, Des Moines, Williamsburg, Newville, Carlisle, Lower Allen, and North Middleton. Now I know East Pennsboro, I was talking to Chief Green, said if you need a letter from us, we'll send you a letter. Okay. But did the Chiefs of Police Association in Cumberland County take a position on this? Do we know that?
Jim, that was all part of like the three package, the Cody Cobra, everybody has a different view. This one, to me, looked the most economical, with the widest impact. Even, something as simple as what the sheriff was saying about our warrants collection unit. That's direct money coming back when you serve those warrants and you can make those arrests quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if I understand correctly, one of the problems we have right now when we post a photograph of someone who owes us money, costs and fine, restitution, once he comes in and he pays his debt to society, it's out there, still out there on the internet somewhere. That's the
right.
problem.
That's a possibility,
Okay. With this, that could not happen?
This would you would maintain custody of that picture, and when we don't permit anybody to scrape it, so you can't run scrape the picture, we watermark everything, so that when you do cancel that warrant and you delete that entry, that Doug Demagon paid his fine or was picked up for his bench warrant or whatever it was, we maintain custody of that picture, that information, that when you delete it or edit it or update it, it'll go out to find where it's been shared and where it's located on the web and kill it and delete it. There may be a link there, you click the link, it'll be a dead link, it'll be a 404. But other than that, nothing's 100%. That's not to say that someone couldn't print out my picture, scan it in there, or do a screenshot and share it or something along those lines. But obviously that's out of the sheriff's department's control and law enforcement's control, because they're surreptitiously doing that.
Well, I know we as a county have expended some significant effort over the past number of years, actually created a whole unit, warrants collection unit. The intent of trying to improve our collection of what's owed to victims of crime, but also in terms of court costs and fines to the county. And I think one of the most successful areas we had was when the sheriff would post that information on his website. This would actually make it wider distribution. Essentially it would be countywide. And, so Jim Berksler's picture's up there and he owes $10,000. And Jim Berksler, doesn't come in and pay his $10,000, he's gonna stay up there in public domain, right?
And not only that, Mr. Hertzler, is that we permit search engine optimization. So every time the sheriff's department types in your name, that is searched by Google and it's crawled. So now that's been indexed. So that the search engine optimization is you're not just Cumberland County, you're not just Silver Spring Township, you're not just Carlisle Borough, you're Crimewatch United States. You're part of that 18.7 million people, that
That's what I'm
35.
asking. Where are you primarily, it's more than statewide than you're talking?
Yeah, we're branching out now. We have an agency coming on in New Jersey and we're already in Florida.
Okay, but you're primarily in Pennsylvania?
Correct.
That's it.
Correct, but where I was getting at was, let's say you skip town, you used to live in Carlisle, now you move to Alabama. And you go to rent an apartment in Alabama, and the landlord gets your name, and he Googles your name. It's gonna come up, here's Jim Hertzler's Facebook account, here's his LinkedIn, and oh yeah, he's wanted by Carlisle police for a burglary. Because that information's out there, so that he can click on that link.
I'm really
submit
not.
it to-
Okay.
I understand, but that's how effective the system is. So wherever you go, if you're entered into Crimewatch, now you're part of the big web, that if someone does a search on your name, that information's gonna pop up. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the CEO started this for the reason of, I'm a single mom living in Oregon, and I'm gonna go on a date with this guy, and then online, and I Google his name before we go out on a date, and here he's wanted out of an agency in Tennessee, or he's wanted out of an agency in Pennsylvania, or he's a sex offender, for instance. That stuff is not indexed in Google. So now you have the ability to submit that information on this guy, that the tip's gonna come directly back to the police department where who entered. So now they're gonna know where Mr. Hertzler's at in Alabama. They're gonna be able to do that. And what's funny is, since I've been on with Crimewatch for over a year now, is that, departments that have come on and pushed warrants out right away, they're getting information that, for instance, McKean County, Bradford, the city of Bradford came on, they pushed out a bunch of warrants, and within the first week, they had tips on a guy they wanted who was living in Florida with his sister. They ended up turning himself in because he was all over Facebook and all over everywhere.
I have a question. We have some people here from Hampton, and the correspondence we just got today, the comment was it would be a better expenditure of county money to put money into something like the Drug Task Force versus Crimewatch. Does anybody have any comment on that? An opinion?
Am I allowed to exercise an opinion?
Sure.
Lancaster County used Drug Task Force money to fund a countywide deployment of Crimewatch for the first 3 years. Because the DA looked at the evidence based on talking to other DAs about the drug tips alone that come in, thinking that it would be able to pay for the Drug Task Force or create a better result for the Drug Task Force. And if you talk to the DA of Lancaster County today, he will still validate that opinion. They literally just had one of the largest fentanyl arrests, kilo of pure fentanyl in Lancaster County. And a lot of these investigations that are coming are in part because they get nuggets of information from the community that they would not have had otherwise. And so, they're going into year 5 where they've continued to renew this. And the one thing that I will say, to speak to the law enforcement point, is these guys are the most skeptical type of client you could possibly ever want to do business with. If Crimewatch didn't work, if everything we were presenting to you today was conjecture or smoke and mirrors or whatever, we would have been out of business already. Because the reason why we're 100% renewed, the reason why people keep coming back is because this indeed has an effect. For our municipalities that have a large retail district, it's a huge burden for them to be able to track down a guy that stole the stereo from Walmart. But for the detectives that work at that department now, they know they can take that retail theft, throw it on Crimewatch, and let it do its thing out in the public. And sure enough, eventually they're going to get a couple tips and say, oh, this is Joe, and he lives here. And it becomes a huge time saver for those municipalities too. But like anything, it's an investment.
Thank you. Steve, you had a question. Thank you.
I just had a comment.
No comment.
My name's Steve Spangler. I'm the vice chair of Cumberland County Crime Stoppers. We've been on Crimewatch for several years. This past year, we're the money. Gary knows. We're the money. We can put up $2,000 to solve crimes, something that the municipalities can't do. And it's free. It's free to the police departments. I can't reach out to all of my police departments in the county. I'm too young, I'm too little, but I'm trying. This allows me to do that. If we had this platform countywide, Newville wouldn't have a problem. If they've got something that's really burned under their saddle, I'm not talking to homicide because I know there isn't any. But if they had something that they wanted to solve in their area, this helps get the word out to everybody. We had over 170 tips in 2018 through Crimewatch, okay, through Cumberland County Crimewatch. I paid nothing in tips because nobody wanted, I just want this drug dealer arrested. I just want I'm anonymous, and they stay anonymous. Are there arrests out of that? I have no idea, I really don't care. Okay, I forward the information to the guys that can take care of that information and do something with it. That's all I have.
We have about 10 minutes left. Does anybody else have any comments? Nan?
I was just wondering, okay, so $35,000, is that an annual fee, or is that a 3-year fee? What is that? Or is it a one-time fee?
That'd be an annual fee.
Annual fee?
Yes.
Yeah, but we, if you guys wanted to, we would do a price guarantee or something we would word the contract for a 3-year with an optional renewal, annual renewal. That way you guys would have that price guarantee for those 3 years.
Greg, you had a question?
I was just going to say, from the county standpoint, through probation parole, for which I can speak, is that we are constantly, and I think you can speak for the other officers in here through the departments, we're constantly asking the public for their help and their assistance. And through probation and parole, we're doing that with my officers on the streets. This allows us an avenue to get that help, and we have received help. We've helped in the homicide, we've helped in arrest, we've helped through the WCU. I think, Gary, through your questions and your concerns, that if we could track the WC issues for the warrant base of the Sheriff's Department for probation and parole, the matrix would probably fly off the charts for the assistance that it allows us to get through our arrests and our detainment that we have.
So hypothetically, we could try this for 2 years, and if it doesn't pan out, we can hold on.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike Paywall, Public Safety Director for Lower Island.
Yeah.
Mike, my only comment, and the reason that I'm jumping on board, and we have a full-time officer that is deployed with the County Drug Task Force. We support that fully. But at the same time, I see that as being drug, specific. Now, granted, crime runs the gambit, and a lot of drugs are supported through other crimes. But I think this paints a broader brush, because there may be something that's not drug dependent, or there may be a crime group, we're getting hit all the time at our Walmart and some other places with fraud crime, where people are coming in from Florida, Georgia. That's where some of our arrests are coming from. They're coming in with fraudulent credit cards or stolen credit cards and buying gift cards. And then, so that's not necessarily a drug-related crime. That's just a profit crime. So to the extent that we can get that information out and paint the broader brushstrokes, I think that's a huge benefit to us solving crime and reducing that crime for our citizens and for the county as well. So that's the reason why I thought this is just as I said, it's a broader brush to try and reach out and use our citizen engagement to capture some of these bad folks.
Thank you. Skip.
You have to understand, Hampton Township has a very rational position, but if you're putting this $35,000 versus what they want from the county to support the drug task force, it's an unbelievable expenditure. Giving a full-time officer, the county reimburses the overtime, but you know what a police officer costs now. It's probably $100,000 a year. So I don't see the county ever coming up with, okay, yeah, we're going to pay for all of your officers coming on. We do need full-time. I've upped the amount I've tried to pay back to them. Last year, before I came in, we reimbursed each township each municipality $20,000. I've raised that to $30,000, but I had to get that out of the forfeitures. And this opioid thing doesn't have the kind of forfeiture return that the old cocaine markets used to have. So, it's that idea of, I understand fully why they would like the county to pay for the drug task force, but you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars versus this program, which is $35.
The other thing I wanted to ask, first of all, I don't know whether the representative from Hamden wants to say anything or not.
Well, I'm Lieutenant Felty. Okay, I'm just here filling a chair today. The chief and the township manager couldn't be here. I'm not fully briefed on what their issues are, so I'd rather not discuss it.
Understood.
That's fine. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just, one of the things is that I think the point was made is this actually can assist in drug arrests and tracking down on those who are peddling heroin or fentanyl or all those kind of deadly drugs in our streets. The other thing too, and I think it's important to point out, and why I think I'm selling myself on this, is the fact that whether you could have crime. I'm just going to put it this way: crime doesn't know any municipal boundaries, right? And the best we can do to kind of work together, and I think that's what this would help to promote. One of the things that baffles me, though, in the letter from Hamden Township, they say for us, Crimewatch would be duplicative, confusing to the public with respect to differences. And this is the part that I had a question about. And may include information that we believe should not be shared with the public in this kind of format. Specifically, we do not include identification of individuals who may be accused but not convicted of any crimes. We believe it's unfair to brand someone prematurely. Does anybody have any comments with respect to that?
I would think, Jim, that the only way that the information is going to be imposed into the data is by those that want that data to be put in, correct? I mean, if you don't want that information to be put in the data bank,
So
there's no
Camden
point in it.
Township Police would not have to put that information out if they didn't want that.
That's correct. You select what information you want to release. Again, like I said in the presentation, nothing goes out without authorization. So if the chief says we're not going to push out these types of crimes, then they don't push out these types of crimes. They're only going to push out warrants. That's what they can do.
Don't lose sight of the fact that your own warrants collection unit, those people have been convicted already. There's not a question about that. That's part of their sentence. It's just this.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking of, you take your general media, whether it be the Penn Live or the Carlisle Sentinel or the TV stations, when somebody's arrested, they haven't been convicted, and they're going to have probably their pictures, in the news anyway. So, I mean, but anyway, I was just curious.
And I just like to reiterate what you said earlier, Jim, about the Facebook has been working very well with us with the WCU warrants. We were shut down one time before when we had the warrants on Facebook for some unknown reason, and that's back when Megan Silverstrom was still here, and she worked her magic and got us back online with Facebook. But we're still at the mercy of Facebook, and they can shut us off any day, when we're publishing our warrants.
Doug, if we have any follow-up questions, fine-tuning numbers, again, I got a bunch of questions.
Yes.
At time right now. Are you the person we go to?
Yes, sir.
So we go straight to you?
Yep.
If we can put up a series of questions or additional information?
Yes, sir.
So we can go direct to you.
Yep.
You could provide us your...
I have, on there, I have my information.
All right, we got it.
If I could, for me, just point out a couple things.
I'd like to give someone else that hasn't commented a chance to comment if they want. Okay, sorry.
At the bottom of every Crimewatch site, there's a compliance button. So members of the public, this is unlike the media, members of the public go in and say, hey, I was arrested and I got an ARD and, my, whatever, I've got an expungement order, whatever it is. They can either go back to the police department and ask to be taken down, or they can click on the compliance button, mail the materials that they have showing that they have an ARD to Crimewatch, and we will remove that person from the site. So there is this, and for you guys as a leadership of the county, you may have to answer that question at some point. Crimewatch is designed to help protect people's information online so that in those circumstances, saying that in the example we used with you, Mr. Herzog, you paid your fine and now you want to be gone, you want to be forgotten. With Crimewatch, the police department takes you down or we take you down once you submit the paperwork. And it gets removed from social media, it gets removed from the Google results. So there's a fail-safe there too that just doesn't always exist.
Yes, I just want to ask one other question. Of the other 7 municipalities in the county that aren't signed up, how many of the 7 are interested in this? Have you?
I have talked to, I actually called all of them. And the interest that I have is we like the program, we'd like to join the program, however, the funding's not available. And that's the answer I was getting from, Camp Hill, Mechanicsburg, Silver Spring, I believe. It's
So they're interested in it if it's free. But that's considerably
Right.
different than
The
what
funding part's a little funny. I know Silver Springs budget, this is a drop in the budget, drop in the bucket, then to have that, no offense, chief. No. But,
I'm just grateful, is that it's not in their budget and they just don't have the funds for it.
I think that just that maybe is part of like what line of question is trying to address is, how much is it worth to people? Everybody says this could be great for us, could be, and when I've asked for evidence, anecdote here, anecdote there, if Lancaster has, you mentioned in particular, if they have, if they provide us numbers, for instance, on these are the number of tips that were generated, and we believe it led to, ideally it led to this many arrests or convictions or whatever, the outcome, preferred outcome is. Okay, now that to me is evidence of value. But I keep coming to that question of what is it worth to you? And if they're not willing to pay anything, it basically tells me that it's not worth anything to them.
I don't think it's not that they're not willing to pay for it, it's just that they don't have the interest from the powers that be to pay for it. I think that's where the problem lies, is the education of the powers that be, that, hey, this is a viable platform. The return on our investment is going to affect our overtime, it's going to affect our, gasoline, it's going to have an effect on everything, because you're going to be solving crimes. You're going to be engaging your public, you're going to be.
But that return on
delivering
investment is
that.
exactly the thing I've been asking to try to
Right.
quantify, and I'm not.
Well, I mean, for example,
Seeing that yet.
Dauphin County, I have numbers here, they had 925,000 people visit their sites last year. They had 2.5, this is just Dauphin, 2.5 million people looking at their information, and they had over 1,000 tips submitted. Now, let's say of those 1,000 tips, 30% are to fruition, they make an arrest and a conviction. Okay, that's still 300 crimes they didn't solve maybe last year. So, I mean, that's where what's the value of an arrest? How do you know? You can't quantify how, am I going to be able to solve this retail theft or not? It may take me 300 man hours to investigate this retail theft and solve it, that's great, but it also could take me less than 2 when I push it out on Crimewatch. So you got to look at the cost of, everything's got.
But again, it's still, maybe this had something to do with.
As an investigator for 20 years, I can say yes, it does.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up, folks.
Yes, sir.
We will certainly take all this into consideration, and we'll get back to you with any specifics that we can maybe touch on.
Absolutely.
Forward. My point was, if the county would assume some responsibility for the cost of this, my own opinion is I think municipalities should continue to pay something, whether it, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think that's an unfair request, but we'll get to that.
I don't think it would be.
Yeah, I think that's a
We
good,
gotta wrap up.
I know, that's a good point, I think. And, we have 8 municipalities that are paying more than probably they should have to pay.
Right.
So we have to fix that too.
Thank you, folks. Really appreciate your time. See, do you have any other business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Sort of.
Adjourn, thank you.